And what is a subway tunnel if not a hallway for trains?
I just spent 5.5 hours looking at directors' chairs with names on the back of them.
I'll be pissed off if anything happens to her.
It's like they made that episode for you to be smart about.
Greetings, Palaxians. Today on the Bounty Board, we're discussing the Avengers Doomsday casting and Daredevil Born Again episodes 5 and 6. So kick up that warp drive and let's punch it.
Welcome back to the Guardians of the Palaxy podcast, everybody. I'm so glad that you're here. My name is MT, and I'm here with two of my amazing friends, Tommy and Whitney. What's going on, gang?
Hi.
I just spent 5.5 hours looking at directors' chairs with names on the back of them. So
I know, the good type of doomsday scrolling.
Doomsday scrolling! Ah!
I'm talking, of course, about the big casting announcements for Avengers Doomsday, but I have to say, maybe the actual delivery of it is a little bit like, what the hell was that? But what brilliant marketing, because they had 6 million people on a live stream watching a slow pan for chairs, every 10 to 12 minutes. And honestly, I was riveted. I was like, I can't wait to see what name comes next. I do think like my one kind of like, let me be a snot about this is like ending on Pedro Pascal and Robert Downey Jr. is like, it was kind of like, wow, who's next? Who's next? Like, well, we already knew they were going to be in the movie. I mean, maybe not Pedro, but like I was pretty sure Pedro.
Why did Robert Downey Jr. shush us? I saw him a year ago at Comic-Con. I was there. I was in the room. Why are you shushing me? Also, sir, we have a podcast. You can't tell me like what are you shushing me about? No. You can't.
Yeah, I mean, do we think that those are the two stars of the show? Obviously, I would assume Dr. Doom is the big bad, but
I mean, yeah, I don't think that you put those two boys last in the lineup if they're not the stars of the show. And I also think that Robert Downey Jr. is getting paid a lot of money. So, yeah, so I think he's in the movie a lot.
Well, just to quickly go through, we've got, from Black Panther, we have Winston Duke and Leticia Wright. We also have Gina Huerta. Loki is back, Tom Hiddleston.
Yes.
We've got
Hell
Thor and
yeah.
Loki returning. We've got all the Fantastic Four. But, I mean, for me, the announcement of the Fox Universe original X-Men was the real shocker. Kelsey Grammer,
for sure.
that was a cool first whoa, but it made sense because we've seen Beast at the end of the Marvels. But then when they just started revealing more and more X-Men, and then when they got to the Rebecca Romijn, Alan Cumming, I was like, oh my God, they're really bringing back a lot of these actors. And I don't think we're done finding out who the players are, because I would be surprised if Hugh Jackman doesn't get his little adamantium claws in on this movie. I would be a little surprised. But man, and Channing Tatum, what a off the top rope. But wait a minute, as MT so brilliantly tweeted, he made a name for himself.
He sure did. Woo.
Huge moment for us tater tots out there. Many of us that have been day one Tatum stans were excited when this Gambit movie was announced all the way back in 2014. And now, after on the heels of his success in Deadpool and how well received that portrayal was, it makes sense. But I do have a question for you guys. Does his inclusion in this casting announcement, grouped with the other X-Men, with kind of his own theme music, mean that these are not the Fox, 1016 X-Men? Is this a brand new universe of X-Men that just look like the Fox X-Men, but have a Gambit that is played by Channing Tatum and not the guy who played him, John Carpenter from Mars? Or is it John Carpenter from Mars? John Carter.
Yeah,
John Carpenter, Ghost of Mars.
John Carpenter, the Ghost of Mars.
He played Gambit in that Wolverine movie.
Yeah, Taylor, whatever his name.
To answer your question, I definitely feel like this is going to be a variant universe to the actual Fox X-Men movies, because it just seems like things are a little bit different. I mean, obviously Beast looks a lot different than how he did in the original series. And so I just feel like this is Marvel Studios' opportunity to use the same actors in similar roles, but put them on a different Earth so that they can put their own unique take on their universe's destruction. Because Doomsday very much seems like it's going to be, an Earth 616 versus Monica's End of the Marvels Earth with these X-Men. And I feel like all these characters, including Gambit and obviously in Deadpool and Wolverine, are probably going to hail from this Earth that Monica landed in at the end of the Marvels. And, obviously we see in Secret Wars #1 from 2015, we see this huge conflict between Earth 616 and the Ultimate Universe. They basically just fight each other trying to defend their universes until everything goes to shit. And so that's when I believe we'll see Doctor Doom come into the picture, because he's going to try to defend his reality before ultimately everyone loses at the end of the movie, and he has to restructure everything for Secret Wars. But yeah, I definitely feel like like we were talking about before, Reed and Doctor Doom are going to play big roles in this movie. Because they are one of the few people that can actually hope to stop this cosmic conflict, because I'm sure nobody wants to go, these are all heroes at the end of the day, nobody wants to go to war with each other, but these two scientists have to try to figure out a way to preserve everyone or stop these incursions from happening. But yeah, I'm so excited to see how that actually looks, because I've been craving a Avengers versus X-Men scenario for such a very long, and so other people have too.
Absolutely.
And so this is promising to be a huge Infinity War Endgame event.
Yeah. This is certainly cause for celebration for us nerds. I will say one other thing. These casting announcements do really link the fact that Thunderbolts is going to be an important movie in the MCU, and that certainly these actors in the Thunderbolts movie are not just one and done. This is not a Suicide Squad. We're going to, don't get, as the tagline was, don't get attached. Was such a brilliant tagline for Suicide Squad. I think we can, other than Taskmaster, get very attached. But by any and all promotion of Thunderbolts, we were not to be attached to Taskmaster anyway, because she's barely marketed in the film. So, but I thought that was cool. I mean, some people were kind of saying it ruins the stakes of Thunderbolts, knowing that they're all going to be in Doomsday. I don't feel that way personally, because, again, Thunderbolts is a very different comic than Suicide Squad. They're often compared just because of the nature of them being kind of anti-heroes that are, working for the government to stop bigger and badder threats. But it isn't, there is a little more of a heroic slant, I think. And certainly in the characters that we have, like Yelena is more, I would say at this point, hero than villain, and there are, and Bucky certainly is just a straightforward hero at this point. The one interesting thing I thought was that we get Lewis Pullman, who is, of course, going to be Sentry in Thunderbolts, and evidently will be returning in some capacity for Doomsday. So I thought that was interesting that they would already announce that. That to me felt a slightly spoilerishy.
Right.
Yeah, me too.
But in a speculative way, because obviously we don't know anything about the plot of Thunderbolts. All right, that's my spiel about the casting. I'm obviously very excited and could do a whole hour in this, but we got to talk about Daredevil, guys.
Yeah, we do. We got a double ep drop. D. Double Daredevil.
Quadruple D's, baby.
Yeah,
my favorite.
Every D.
Because 2 Ds are never enough.
Never.
But yes, we got episode 5 and 6 of Daredevil, and I really enjoyed both of these episodes. A lot of people are like, oh my God, episode 5 is just filler. It's just a bunch of Miss Marvel stuff. But I really enjoyed this episode because it felt like, the MCU adaptation of Inside Man from 2006, which is one of my favorite movies of Denzel Washington.
Yes. I was getting very Inside Man vibes from that episode as well. Clive Owen.
Yes. And it's cool to see Daredevil be Daredevil outside of the suit. That's who he is through and through. And he can still manage to pull that off, even when all eyes are on him and he's in his civilian clothes. I feel like everyone did a fantastic job with their performances, especially the actor who played Devlin, the main bad guy on the phone. He was just so good. And I kind of wish that he was a more major villain in the MCU in general, because he just has a certain air around him that's just very intimidating.
Yeah.
It was great to just have this little bank heist episode. What do you guys think of the episode in general?
I really liked it. I thought that they kind of seamlessly infused Mr. Khan, Papa Khan as I call him, into that world. I thought that the humor in his first conversation with Matt Murdock was very Ms. Marvel. It almost felt like it was written by one of the writers on the staff of Ms. Marvel. He was kind of goofy and he was clearly not picking up. I mean, he knew Matt was blind, but he was still kept messing up, and asking him to refer to things that were visually cued.
Imagine being the person who has to explain what a Funko Pop is to Matt Murdock. That made me laugh so hard. It's just a money pit. It's the ugliest thing you could possibly imagine, Matt. You're lucky.
Take something that you love the aesthetic and art behind and make it ugly and basic and put it in a box and charge $15 for it. Yeah.
Dude, the fact that Matt Murdock never has to look upon a Funko Pop, I'm fucking jealous, man.
God bless him.
I want superpowers and to never have to see Funko Pops. That sounds great.
If Funko, if you're thinking about sponsoring us, we don't want you. No, I'm just kidding.
We don't want you. Get out of here.
Yeah, but overall, I thought the episode was great. I thought this was an obvious case where being Daredevil would have made his life a lot easier, right? Like if he had just ducked out, put the suit on, came back, saved the day as Daredevil, this whole situation would have been dispatched of in like 5 minutes. And yet, it kind of represented the last gasp of him trying to suppress the call to the suit. You know, it's like he does not have the privilege of being just Matt Murdock. Like Daredevil is a part of him, if not the actual part of him. And this was kind of the last episode where he was facing that down. As we see in episode 6, he puts the suit on again. Not to, get too far ahead of ourselves. But what did you think?
Oh, man, I really enjoyed this episode a lot. I was like, hell yeah, we got Daredevil Die Hard, baby. Let's go. Yeah. All we need is a Hans Gruber getting pushed off the top of Nakatomi Plaza, and it would have been just pitch perfect. No, I really liked it. I thought that it was really cool and so unexpected that they did these 2 back-to-back episodes. I know we're going to talk about the second one more in depth in a minute, but the fact that they gave us 2 back-to-back episodes that had tie-ins to the other like Marvel TV shows that aren't just the Defenders, that was so cool to me. I had no idea that we were going to see like main timeline MCU stuff in this show. I just didn't think that they'd touch it. I don't know. Like I just wasn't expecting them to be like, yeah, sure. And now we're going to have Ms. Marvel's dad in this episode. Like what? Like I never would have expected that. That makes me really happy because it feels like it's been for fucking ever since Ms. Marvel came out and since Hawkeye came out. So the fact that like they actually brought these storylines back, it's like, no, these storylines still do matter. These people are still very much involved. I know you might have forgotten about them, but they are still here. So I loved it. I thought it was great that they had swordsman from Hawkeye and that we had Kamala's dad. I thought that was a really cool way to just tie it into the MCU main other TV stuff. It's sick when the TV stuff starts to pay off because sometimes you're sitting here going, I've watched 1 million episodes of Secret Invasion and I can't get the hours of my life back. What the fuck are we doing here? So it feels really good to have 2 separate TV series both pay off in one that's currently happening.
Give us Gravik in episode 8 and we'll be fine.
It's revealed that Kingpin is just Gravik the entire time. It's like, it's me, I got you.
It's
big
me.
Idiots.
So speaking of Kingpin, we didn't really see him in episode 5, but I think episode 6 definitely was a heavily featured Kingpin episode, as he comes face to face with the fact that being the mayor is kind of inconvenient to his violent urges.
Oh, it's so inconvenient, dude. He hates kissing babies and shaking hands. This guy is not happy with the mayoral duties. I did think that it was very funny just watching his portrayal of that because there's so many times that I think about the current administration that we have in office and I go, I bet that they would rather be doing something else, right? Like that's a rich guy. And I'm sure that he's bored as shit in all of these meetings. Do you really think that people in our current administration are like, oh, hell yeah, government, awesome. No, they're fantasizing about what they would be doing if they weren't stuck in this shitty, dumb politics meeting. So I thought that was a very fun portrayal that they chose to do because I often wonder that about real life.
And I hate to bounce around, but I want to go back to episode 5 real quick because I want to talk about the police. We kind of got to see some other divisions of the police, not just the bad cops or Cherry. We got to see the kind of the task force and the SWAT team, including the woman who played the police negotiator, who I thought like that she did really great with some dialogue that was straight out of a Key and Peele sketch. Like it was like she
Yeah.
had like police negotiator, TV police negotiator, boilerplate dialogue, and I thought she acted the crap out of it. It was one of those things where you could just kind of tell what scenes were the audition scenes. Like, oh, there's my mom. Hi, mom.
Oh, hi, Mom.
She's a little cameo. I like to have actors play background actors in my podcast.
Oh, yeah.
But like the first scene that she walked up and did the whole like, you know, speech and grabs the call comes in, were your ears ringing or whatever? It was like,
Yeah.
it was like, oh man, I just know that that's the scene they had her audition with, and I'm sure that she knocked it out of the park. Because it was, I thought she did great, but it was her chemistry with Devlin was, I thought, really strong. It's a weird thing. It's a weird dance in hostage negotiation movies and TV shows where like there's almost a like chemistry and tension between the negotiator and the lead bad guy, and I thought that they really had it. It was like it would be so easy because this is kind of a one and done villain from what we know, that it's like just to have a CW villain of the week guy come in and, you know, chew the scenery. But I agree with you, MT. I thought the guy who played Devlin did a really good job, and I thought the woman who played the police negotiator did a really good job. But I thought their interactions with each other were really strong.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like this was definitely Detective Angie Kim's episode, I feel, to really shine, and that she did a really great job. And I do like her in this role rather than like she was in Jessica Jones as like you know, one of the Starlight actress. Like she played which was it, Hannah or something? She played Hannah's roommate in Jessica Jones.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, okay, cool. I gotta go back and rewatch J. Jones. It's been a while.
Yeah, man. Like that's why I always say like. Actually, no, I'm not going to bring that up because that's contentious amongst the Daredevil community. But whatever, I'll say it anyway. Because like, you know, before Kevin Feige revamped, this was clearly meant to take place in a separate universe to the Netflix universe. And like they've mentioned that before in other interviews, but then like they've since, you know, changed course, and like this is basically season 4 of Daredevil. But like because of, you know, Marvel Studios' influence, we are now seeing connections to actual Marvel Studios properties, like hard connections, like, you know, mentions of Spider-Man and like all these Miss Marvel mentions. And like, because like this is a Kevin Feige production for the first time, like, because the other seasons of, you know, Defenders and Daredevil and Jessica Jones were not produced by Kevin Feige at all. So like this is now officially a part of Kevin Feige's universe and story. So like now we're getting like, you know, proper connections to things, which is super cool.
I agree.
So just to kind of give some final thoughts about episode 5, it was just kind of the last gasp of Matt Murdock, attorney at law, period. And now we're going to get the second half of the season, which is Matt Murdock, attorney at law, Daredevil.
Yeah.
You know, this show is just one giant commentary on, you know, masks in general. He's struggling with who he is as a person. Like, am I Matt Murdock or am I Daredevil? And like, it's going to be interesting to see how he balances the two, especially since, you know, being Daredevil is outlawed. And so like being himself is basically outlawed, which is a concept that White Tiger touched on briefly before he was killed. So like, you know, it's going to be interesting to see like how his, you know, more angrier self is going to manifest in this new life that he's built, and how it's going to, you know, cause degradation over time with his, like, you know, loved ones. But because he still hasn't told Heather at all, like his whole business, which is crazy. Like, come on, man. Like, if Heather were to find out that you told Karen, your ex, her, she's gonna be freaking pissed.
She's gonna be fucking pissed. She's a therapist. She's gonna be like, how did I not know? What is happening? I love that she was like, oh my God, could you like give me an interview with like the Punisher or something? He's my favorite vigilante. And he was just like, the Punisher, bro, you're fucking Daredevil and you don't even know it.
Yeah, you're getting exclusives every night, baby.
Every night, baby. You got that Daredevil dick up in ya.
Oh my God.
You're closer to Matt Murdock than anyone biblically should be. Actually, just kidding. We should all get fucked by Matt Murdock. All of us. Every single one of us.
Your lips to God's ears.
My favorite thing about Matt Murdock is that even though he is a blind man, he will always find the hallway or stairwell to do his fighting in. That man doesn't like to fight if it's not in a little hallway, if he's not under a little overpass outside. He kicked that guy's ass underneath the overpass, kicked that guy's ass in the stairwell, kicked that guy's ass in the back of the bank in a little tiny space. Matt Murdock likes to fight in tunnels hallways and staircases, and he is always going to make that happen. He will not kick your ass with no walls around.
Yeah, he doesn't like he doesn't like an open floor plan when he's fighting. But I have to say, is that ever discussed in the comics that like being around a lot of surfaces where he can like kind of hear and things about, like, does it benefit him to fight in close quarters? I mean, it would make sense that it would with how he kind of sees and senses things. If everything's up close and personal, he's going to have a lot better chance of echolocating or whatever he does. Don't come in the comments.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, that's why I always take it, because you're right. He absolutely does always try to get the fight into a place that's contained
in a little space
with 4 walls around it. Yeah, that's so true. I never really thought about that before, but it would make sense that like the more things that are around him, the more he can sense what's moving around him as well. So
totally. Sure. If he had an open concept floor plan, designed by Love It or List It's Hilary Farr and David, it would be a total, like, he wouldn't be able to fight as well. He just wouldn't.
But no, one quick thing I wanted to bring up about episode 5 real quick before we transition to 6.
Sure. I'm sorry.
Is that, like, obviously I'm going to do more color theory shit, but it's going to be very, very short and sweet. So the masks of all these people correspond to 5 of the 6 Infinity Stones. You got red, blue, purple, pretty much everything but orange. And so like the entire time I was like, where is the orange going to factor into this episode? And it comes in at the very end when they find this orange diamond.
Yes. Oh my God.
And I was like, oh my God, these 5 colors are going for the last 6th color, which is the Soul Stone, which was the last color to appear in the MCU. So I was like, oh my God, this is really fun. That they sort
is
of like,
really cool.
Use color.
It's like they made that episode for you to be smart about. My God, the Big Head Gang. Good Lord.
That's
Big Head Gang. Let's go. No,
You're so good at this.
No, I think that Kevin Feige is just really good at, building the MCU in this color-coded way. And like, I just love watching this happen. It's just really, really neat. But anyway, okay, episode 6. So all this big shit happens. Matt is, he's gone through this huge thing, and Matt's girlfriend is like, how are you not traumatized by what just happened to you?
And
like,
there's been
really
a couple
odd.
of instances already this season where he's been a part of traumatic events, and she just keeps going like, are you okay?
Are you fine, dude? What's going on?
Bro, are you good?
Bro, you good?
Basically, and Matt chooses to hide, put on a mask, and you're like, yeah, no, I'm totally fine. Like, it's whatever. But, I love that he's in this relationship with Heather, because it forces him to do therapy, even though he doesn't want to do therapy whatsoever. Because like he only did Catholic therapy, which is just confessing your sins. I mean, obviously his former priest that is no longer with us, did give him some advice, but like, he wasn't a mental health professional. So like he could only give Matthew advice from a religious point of view. But like we have this woman who is extremely close with Matthew, knows him better than most of the people, and is, starting to call him out on his bull crap. And like it's just, it's super cool to see that happen, because he needs someone like that. And like I really love the character of Heather a lot in this series, because she feels like a really like genuine and real fleshed out like MCU character. And like I'll be pissed off if anything happens to her. Like if she dies this season, I'd rather her walk off to the sunset and just break up with Matt and be happy rather than her die, because like she's just such a cool character, and I love her a lot.
True.
Well, it does to that point, because I like that character too. I think she's really interesting because she's like a quasi 3-dimensional character that does not have a superpower, nor is she a damsel in distress.
Right?
She's very empowered. She's literally the therapist for the 2 of the most evil people on Earth, or at least morally conflicted people on Earth. I do feel like now that Muse is going to have a bee in his bonnet about Daredevil, will Muse connect the dots to Daredevil's identity, and will that lead him to taking something that matters to Matt Murdock? So this episode is really all about the kind of fully introduction to Muse in this world, right? Like it's we find out there's this serial killer. There's, I think they say 60 missing people. And through like a bumbling cop's graffiti removal or sanitation department graffiti removal, they find out that all of the fancy graffiti on the walls of Hell's Kitchen are mixed with blood.
I have questions about this. Okay. Is this just like a magic thing that they're, because they said, what the guy said was, okay, so he puts the blood in the paint and then he puts epoxy on it. And that's why we can't rinse it off. And he was saying, I was going to get my little meter, check and see what kind of paint it was. And then from there, use whatever remover goes with that paint to remove it. Why does blood mixed with epoxy mean it's permanent forever? What?
Well,
that can't be real. That just a magic Marvel thing? Like, what's happening?
I will say that blood is a notoriously difficult substance to get off of surfaces. Like there's a thing in the EMTs, like they use like Coca-Cola, regular Coca-Cola, to get blood off of streets because water doesn't work to wash blood away.
Oh damn.
So like the Coca-Cola like eats away at the blood and like
should we be drinking Coca-Cola then? Because that goes into our bloodstream.
I mean, I got blood inside me and that Coca-Cola washes that shit right away. But I don't know.
That's why our blood is so clean.
That's right. You drink enough Coca-Cola, and if you snort enough Coke, your blood is pure. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't take that as to be magical, but I also am not smart enough to figure that out. I just thought he was implying that whatever the concoction wasn't really hard to get off, like the mixture of the blood and everything else. But I don't know. It's really
I thought maybe he had magical paint because he's a superhero serial killer. I don't know.
I would rather believe that he's got Chitauri paint, house paint.
Hell yeah, Chitauri house paint. Let's
go. From the Tinkerer, from Spider-Man Homecoming.
From the Tinkerer himself. Exactly. No, the other thing that I thought was so funny about this episode with the serial killer was, so Hector's niece comes in and she's like, Matt, you have to help me solve this serial killer thing. It's like really scary and bad and a bunch of people are missing. And he's just like, there's nothing I can do. I don't know what you want me to do about it. And she's like, oh man, well, fuck you. And I'll see you later. And then she tries to solve it herself. And then the second that Matt finds out that she's missing, he's like, fine, I guess I'll go solve this serial murder.
And really
then he goes straight to the exact location. And I'm like, you could have done this the whole time. You could have at any point just been like, well, fuck, I guess I have to solve this, and gone straight to the location, which was also in a subway tunnel. And what is a subway tunnel if not a hallway for trains? That's right. Subway tunnel fight, baby.
Marvel hallway theory. That's
hallway theory. That's fine. That's where we're at today, folks. Whitney Van Laningham. Have you heard of the Marvel trigger theory? Get ready for the Marvel hallway theory.
Oh my God, I love it. You know, it's funny because he literally says F it. Like he just goes F it. Throws the horn down on Foggy's funeral card and then just gets his little suit on and whips around town. Yeah, that speech from the younger Ayala, it was funny because it was such a teenager dressing down an adult. Like,
for sure.
You know,
yes.
Like when a teenage girl finds out that her parents did something wrong or her parents got in trouble for something, and it's just like the belligerency with which she dressed him down was like
just reading him for absolute filth. Teenagers are terrifying. I would rather go up against a serial killer than a sharp-tongued teen. A teen could tear me down in ways that a serial killer could only dream of.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully a serial killer would make it quick. She chewed him out for like 3 minutes.
Dude, for sure. She really did.
And it's that anger and ferocity that is sort of concerning, I feel, when it comes to, Angela Del Toro specifically, because, in the comic, she obviously inherits the White Tiger powers.
Yeah.
She finds the police envelope with the necklace in it, and she becomes a White Tiger. But I feel like when she becomes White Tiger eventually, which is what Marvel seems to be setting up, I feel like she's going to be this vigilante that becomes a vigilante for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
Because she's way too angry, and she has this hatred towards the cops, and it's I'm sure she'll do her best to stop crime, but much like in the comics, she ends up going the criminal route and ends up going to prison down the line. So I feel like in the same way we could be seeing the beginnings of Angela Del Toro using the white tiger powers in a very aggressive way, like kind of like in a very Punisher-y type of way, in an attempt to avenge her uncle. Like it would be very interesting to have a supernatural superhero that sort of like doesn't fit your traditional like I'm a goody two shoes type of role. Because like the closest we got to that is Moon Knight, and like, you know, he's still sort of a goody two shoes because you know there's still
certain versions of him are very good.
Versions of him are just real sweet.
Gators.
Yeah,
latest gators.
But yeah, no, I'm very interested to see how that character develops and grows. What's interesting throughout the episode is that like after Angela visits Matt is listening to internet articles on Track 61, like the abandoned subway station that she brought up. You can see that he's still like, he cares and like he did listen to what she had to say, but like he was struggling to not get involved until the phone call from her aunt,
he had to literally be confronted with a child about to die.
Yeah.
So he was like, fine, I'll be Daredevil again.
Fine, I'll just fucking put the tights on. Shit.
But that's to me what this whole first half of the season has been about, is like he's been faced time and time again with situations where just being Daredevil would solve the problem.
Would be so much easier.
But for him, he keeps, you know, playing the tape forward and being like, but then I'm Daredevil again, and then people I love get hurt. So it's like, you know, I think he's kept it at bay. He's kept it at bay until finally it was like, I cannot not be Daredevil now, or this little girl is going to die. So, you know, in a way, it brought him out of Daredevil retirement. And it was also, I think it's going to propel us into a pretty dynamic second half of the season, because we have Fisk also returning to his violent nature in this episode, beating the life out of Adam. You know, it's like we saw both of them kind of go from keeping their true natures suppressed. There's a part of Matt that enjoys being Daredevil, right? Like that like he understands, he deeply mourns the consequences of wearing that suit. But when he was Daredevil, he liked it. He liked the violence. And then there's a part of Wilson Fisk that loves the violence.
Oh, loves it, baby.
It loves the feeling of putting fear into someone. And it's like just the fear in Adam's, pleas to be released wasn't enough anymore. He had to put his hands on it. So I thought that was really interesting that we kind of see both people kind of assume their true selves by the end of the show.
That was like truly one of the most like gangster fucking things we've seen Kingpin do. Just having his wife's ex-lover tied up in his basement. It's literally the Biggie Smalls song, "At my arraignment, note to the plaintiff, your boyfriend's tied up in Kingpin's basement." That's what it is. That's what he's done. It's incredible. It was such a fucking cool episode to see him be, because he is scary. He's so scary, but seeing him be so scary just hits every time. It's perfect. It's the best when you see him start to really lose his shit and you're like, oh, this guy is actually just completely unhinged. He's an unhinged gang member. It's incredible. Gang leader, honestly. Mafia, man. Let's go.
And walking in with an axe and being like, I'm actually not here to use this axe on you. I'm giving you this axe to even the fight a little bit.
And I'm still going to kick your ass. I'm still going to kick your ass.
And at no point am I threatened by this axe at all. And it's a pretty big axe.
I also love the sign that because his jacket got too small again, it's like, oh, he's back, baby. Oh, he's back. He's busting out of jackets and he's back. I love it.
Kingpin's crawling out.
Out. I just like the idea that he gets more like menacing with as he gets like scarier and scarier. It's like, oh, he needs a bigger jacket because he's just menacing right out of it.
I took it just that he'd been stress eating more.
Oh.
From the job. No,
listen, who among us hasn't taken a basket of French fries to the face? Who hasn't?
But like what I really enjoy about the intercut between Fisk and Daredevil during this moment is that like they are both confronting artists.
Yeah.
And like these two artists I feel like they were purposely modeled after Jesus and the devil, because Muse is the devil, like with his like weird ass fucking eyes gouged out.
I thought that Muse was kind of Jesus-y now. Are you sure that the guy with blood streaming out of his eyes isn't the son of Christ or the son of the Lord?
I mean, I guess depending on different stages of his life. Anyway, but you know, and then like we have Adam, who looks very much like Jesus, but he's being tortured by this guy who's like trying to portray himself as an angel, but he's actually the devil in disguise. So like it's like Jesus getting beat up by a wolf in sheep's clothing, while the devil gets beat up by an angel in devil's clothing. So like,
That's
it's
crazy. That's a really crazy way to put that. Yeah.
Like a reflection there, which I really enjoyed. But yeah, this was definitely the rebirth episode. Like, Matt is officially back as Daredevil. Kingpin is back as Kingpin, and Homegirl, Angela Del Toro, she basically dies very briefly and is like reborn because Matt didn't want to take a life like he sort of tried to do with Bullseye at the beginning of the series. So we see that the good man that is Matt is still there, and he's able to stop himself, which is what Foggy would have wanted. And yeah, like it's cool to see like the rebirth be officially done, the process of grieving be completed, and like I'm interested to see how Daredevil evolves from here.
And I think you're absolutely right. Like Angela Del Toro now, like all other avenues other than vigilantism led her to almost dying, and she was saved by a vigilante, right? So this is going to propel her into a kind of wrong-headed vigilante quest, because she's coming at it from a point of anger, fear, and vengeance. She's not getting into it to protect people. She wants to avenge her uncle. She's afraid she's going to be hurt, and she's angry at the police. So, with those three components, I think you're right. We're going to get a version of White Tiger that is going to be a tragic figure, I fear, in the Daredevil saga. So,
for damn sure. I hope that we get to see her in action before the season ends, but like I have the feeling that we're probably not going to.
It could be a post-credit scene that she grabs the amulet or something, because she's a 13-year-old girl. She's gonna need that amulet to,
right. But
to accessorize with, obviously, what every 13-year-old girl wants, a pretty necklace.
She's going to need the amulet, and she's going to need bangs, and then she'll be all
amulet, bangs, let's go, 7th grade, woo!
That's right.
I mean, with the inclusion of, Kamala Khan in the mix, like, do you feel like she's going to eventually take a visit to White Tiger and, like, have her join her champions
that could be cool.
That would be a cool connection from the show to the MCU, then, if White Tiger is a part of the young Kamala Khan team.
I mean, anything could happen. I feel like the MCU is just throwing all these young characters at us to see what sticks. And
see which one resonates.
No, not to go back to the casting thing, but we were missing a lot of those young actors from the casting announcement of Doomsday.
No Haley Steinfeld.
Which makes me wonder.
What the fuck? Give her a chair.
Well, it makes me wonder if they're all going to be working on that mystery movie slot. If they're busy because they're filming. I mean, I would imagine there's going to be another 10 to 15 cameo appearances in Doomsday that just weren't announced today, because we have no Guardians of the Galaxy. We at least we have no Star-Lord, who is now on Earth, and it would make sense that if there's a threat facing Earth, Star-Lord's going to.
And they have confirmed that he'll be back too.
Right.
So we know he'll be back. We just didn't see him in the chairs.
No Spider-Man, no Doctor Strange, no.
Well, that's because we don't remember Spider-Man. Who's that? Who's that?
So maybe that's it. That's an Easter egg in the video that they just can't disprove. We'll be like, yeah, there was no Spider-Man because we don't know who the hell he is.
Because we don't know who that guy is.
But yeah, like I thought that was those were interesting omissions. All the Marvels, all the young kind of newer characters we were introduced to, other than Falcon. But yeah, I don't know. Just an interesting aside, because it would be cool to have something from this show carry into the next phase of Marvel movies.
No, it really would. That's what I liked about them having like Hawkeye and Ms. Marvel in this show, because I was like, yes, fucking finally this shit is starting to pay off and starting to come together. Because for this whole the past 2 years, it's been like the last time we saw some of these characters was 2022 or 2023 at this point.
Well, last time we saw Shang-Chi was 2021, right?
Dude, yeah. Shang-Chi was a long ass time ago. And that's the thing, right? Is that we've been telling people all along, let Kevin cook. Oh my God. I sneezed my headphones off. That was crazy. Oh shit. I sneezed so hard my headphones popped off.
You're like a cartoon character.
But yeah, we've been saying for a really long time, let Kevin cook. He has plans. We're going to see this all come together eventually. And now we are. And I love that. This is all I need to keep me going, baby. Just throw someone's dad in a bank. I'll be fine. That's enough for me. Give me that little connection.
You're not hard to please. Just throw someone's dad in the bank.
Just throw someone's dad in the bank. Call it my birthday gift. Whatever.
Dad in the bank. That's the sponsor for today. Dad in the bank.
Dad in the bank. This episode is brought to you by Dad in the bank.
Throw that dad in the bank. Like, no, I'm excited for like Daredevil to be an avenue towards like more interconnectivity between like Marvel heroes. Like we just see like the legal side of being a Marvel hero. Because like, this show definitely feels like it is setting up the seeds for, the mutant saga. I say this all the time in all my videos. Like this show is like the herald for a xenophobic world that does not care for enhanced individuals whatsoever. Like these cops hate them. Like so many people are fearful of them. And Wilson Fisk is basically made his whole campaign on that. And so like this is very much like season 2 of Born Again very much feels like it's going to be more of like Daredevil trying to fight this growing hatred towards people, but realizing that he can't.
And to piggyback on that, kind of my like final thought for this episode is that I think the introduction of that task force of these police that are kind of above and beyond the law, it's like, yes, we need to create this necessary above the law task force to take down Muse. And it's like, all right, well, once Muse is caught, you'll disband the task force, right?
Right.
You'll disband the task force, right? It's like, no. Now they're going to introduce another, public enemy number 1, which will probably be Daredevil, and it'll be like those now kind of, OP in terms of legally OP police officers are going to be running amok, disturbing the peace, trying to take down Matt Murdock. Like, I think what we saw introduced at the end of that episode was basically Kingpin creating his new gang, which is terrifyingly the NYPD.
Which is so fucking scary. I thought that it was like low-key nuts and also just very, funny, but not funny, haha.
Speaking of
but
which,
just
that's
like,
our
whoa,
second sponsor today, Loki Nuts.
Loki Nuts. No, I thought it was so crazy that the cop was like, yeah, but what's in it for me? And Kingpin is like, I'm going to say the sexiest words that any cop can hear. You can turn off your body cam. And then the guy was like, oh shit, I love that. My officers.
It's all I ever wanted.
All I ever fucking wanted was for the mayor to tell me I didn't have to have a body cam turned on. So I thought that was very fucked up and not funny, like, because that shit happens. That happens in real life. It's just a Suicide Squad of bad, evil cops. But Matt's gonna help us out with that. I bet Matt's gonna help.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I love how this season is very much a commentary on, this idea of a law and order president or mayor or whatever you want to call it. Because like that's what excessive force. That's what it sort of all that leads to excessive force. And doing whatever is necessary to detain people unjustly, and like which is what we saw like a lot post 9/11, which was awful.
For
but
real.
That's how shit tends to go when fear like causes people to make decisions for them.
Luckily, Daredevil is a man without fear.
He is. He's a man without fear, a man without eyesight, and a man with a dick that makes all of Manhattan happy.
It's true. Like he's wild with that, man. He can't stop. Like all the women love him. It's kind of crazy. But yes, I cannot wait for the next episode. Like what are you guys' final thoughts? You guys what do you guys think is gonna happen next episode?
I don't know. I actually thought we were gonna stay on the Muse storyline a little longer. I wasn't expecting them to catch him in this episode, I guess. Like I thought that there was gonna be like a little more build up. Oh well, no, like, but catch him, like, as in, like, find out who he is. Right, like they, right. Sorry,
disrupt
that's what I meant.
His lair.
Disrupt his lair is what I mean. Like Matt walked in on him, caught him in the act. I guess I should say. Now that he's been caught in the act,
it. Oh my god!
Caught him jorking it. Jorking it. But because he was found out kind of relatively quickly by Matt, because pretty much the cops just found out that there was a serial killer at all. And Matt already has, is already like, okay, I found your secret fucking lair, dude. So I wasn't expecting them to have that information. I thought that it was going to be like leading up to it. And then like maybe the finale was going to be that we'd get him or whatever. But I just wasn't expecting them to like catch him in the act that quickly. So I'm very excited to see like what happens next, because I just wasn't expecting this as the outcome of
Right.
that episode. So I'm hyped. I want to see. I want to know. I love true crime stuff. So I'm very hyped that the MCU is now just like, here you go, Whitney. Have a little Matt murder documentary.
Matt Murder Doc.
Yeah, Matt Murder Doc.
No, I definitely cannot wait for next episode. It's going to be freaking fantastic. I feel like it's going to definitely be about Muse and, you know,
Yeah.
them sort of like, I don't know, sort of catching him or confronting him again, because
You
that
gotta
was only
get
round
him.
one. Only
That
round
was
one.
only round one, baby. He's got more graffitis to graffiti. He's got more blood paint in his spray can. We're not done yet. It's not over. Let's
Not
go.
done jorking it.
Not done.
I'm gonna stop saying that. Anyways, yes, I'm so glad to have been able to talk about these 2 episodes with you guys.
Yeah.
They were so good. Thank you, Marvel, for giving us a double helping of Daredevil goodness.
It was so tasty. Nom nom nom.
Anytime you want to do it, we love it. Thank you guys so much for spending time with us on the
Thank you
Guardians of
guys.
Palaxy podcast. You guys are wonderful. We love you guys so much, and we will see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.
Gang, gang.